A black cat named Shadow crept through the fog. His emerald eyes glowed. The old mansion loomed ahead. It stood on a hill shrouded in mist. Shadow padded up the creaking steps. Each step groaned under his weight. He hesitated at the front door. The air felt cold, unyielding. He pushed his way inside. Cobwebs brushed his face. The house smelled like dust and forgotten things. Shadow lowered himself to the floor. He slunk into the darkness. The floorboards groaned as Shadow padded down a hallway, his paws making barely a sound on the ancient wood. The dim light cast eerie shadows on the walls, making the old house seem even more haunted. A cold draught made his fur stand on end, sending a shiver down his spine. The chill seemed to seep into his very bones, making him wary of every creak and groan of the house. He flattened his ears against his head, trying to catch any sound that might give away the source of his unease. Something rustled in the walls, a faint, almost imperceptible noise that made his heart race. Rats, maybe. He paused, listening intently, as the wind howled outside, adding to the symphony of unsettling sounds. The house seemed alive, whispering secrets to those who dared to listen. It rattled the windows in their frames, the glass shaking as if trying to escape. Was that a voice he heard? A soft, almost pleading whisper carried by the wind. A soft whisper? Shadow padded on, his movements cautious and deliberate. Each step seemed to echo louder in the silence, as if the house was amplifying his presence. The scent of decay grew stronger, a pungent reminder of the house's long abandonment. He reached a grand staircase, its once majestic structure now draped in cobwebs and shadows. It spiraled upwards into darkness, an ominous path leading to the unknown. He began to climb, each step creaking a warning, as if urging him to turn back. But Shadow was determined to uncover the secrets that lay hidden in the dark. At the top of the stairs, a long hallway stretched before him. The air was thick with the scent of dust and age, as if the walls themselves were whispering secrets of the past. It was lined with portraits of stern-looking people, their eyes cold and unyielding. Each face seemed to hold a story, a fragment of a forgotten era. Shadow paused, his tail twitching. Their eyes seemed to follow him, watching his every move with an intensity that made his fur stand on end. He crept down the hallway, his paws silent on the thick carpet. The silence was almost deafening, broken only by the soft rustle of his movements. He could hear the wind whistling through cracks in the walls. The sound sent shivers down his spine, a haunting melody that echoed through the empty hall. A door slammed shut at the end of the hall. Shadow jumped, his heart pounding in his chest like a drum. His heart raced. He flattened his ears against his head, trying to look small. The hallway seemed to close in around him, the shadows growing darker and more oppressive. Section 4. The Fall. The night was dark, and the air was thick with an eerie silence. The old house stood ominously, its windows like hollow eyes staring into the void. Shadow cautiously approached the door, his fur bristling with unease. The hallway was dimly lit, shadows dancing on the walls as if they had a life of their own. He rose up on his hind legs, sniffing at the gap beneath it. The scent was unfamiliar, a mix of dust and something else he couldn't quite place. A musty smell wafted out, carrying with it the weight of years gone by. The house seemed to breathe, exhaling its ancient secrets. He batted at the door with his paw, curiosity getting the better of him. The door creaked slightly, as if whispering a warning. Suddenly something crashed to the floor behind him, shattering the silence. The noise echoed through the empty halls, sending a chill down his spine. Shadow leapt into the air, letting out a yowl. His heart raced as he spun around to face the source of the noise. He turned to see an old broom lying on the floor, its handle pointing accusingly at him. The broom looked out of place, as if it had been disturbed from its long rest. It must have fallen from where it was leaning against the wall. The realization brought a small measure of relief, but his nerves were still on edge. He stared at the broom, his heart still pounding. The shadows seemed to close in around him, making the hallway feel even more claustrophobic. He let out a hiss, more embarrassed than scared. How could he, a proud feline, be startled by something so mundane? It was just the wind playing tricks on him. The eerie breeze whispered through the hallway, carrying with it the ghostly echoes of the past. "Section 5, boo, boo!" a voice said. Shadow jumped again, spinning around. He found himself face to face with a small, shimmering figure. It was a ghost, a small boy with a mischievous grin. "You scared me!" Shadow hissed, his fur still bristling. The ghost giggled. "I'm Casper," he said. "Do you want to play?" Shadow stared at Casper. He looked friendly enough. Shadow let out a soft purr. Maybe this haunted house wasn't so bad after all.